Okay, next, so now we'll do House Bill 349 committee and phase 1 request from the steering committee. An update on your committee and what you guys have talked about.
Joe and I have been meeting with Steve and Robin. We've had 2 meetings to discuss some requests from the steering committee for the proposed Bridgewater Hebron Run Special District. They had initially requested us to look at the request in 2 phases. Phase 1 includes a tailout for students, a potential transition period for the middle schoolers, and then whether we would be interested in providing superintendent services to this potential new district. That's what we've been discussing. And now, because Joe and I are just 2 of 7, we are bringing it to the full board to discuss and see how everyone feels about that. Joe, I don't know if you want to add anything. You were our diligent note taker at our last meeting.
No, I think, yeah, right, yeah, my scribbles here. No, I think that's what it ultimately was that we wanted to, I think, also run some stuff by Barbara to make sure that
Yes.
we were making our decisions, you know,
Yeah,
on
not putting carts before
solid
horses and
legal
whatnot.
footing, and yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you guys are familiar with the 3 different things. The first one being the tailing out of students, basically. So any Bristol, Hebron, Groton students that are currently in grades 6 through 12 would have the.
Bridgewater Hebron.
What did I say? Bristol?
Bristol.
Yeah, Bridgewater. Yeah,
You're
Bridgewater,
from
Hebron.
Bristol, I understand.
Yeah, I'm from Bridgewater.
I mean, not really, I know.
Now I'm from
Now
Bristol.
you're from Bristol.
So that those students would get the opportunity to tail out, finish with their classes. So if you're in 6 to 8, you'd finish at the middle school. If you're in 9 to 12, you would finish, you know, and you graduate from Newfound Regional High School. And so that was the first. And then the second was about tuitioning. Correct? That was
Yeah, that's
one-
the tuition
130
basis and
193.
streamline the process.
Yeah.
Which is a little difficult to understand, I guess, for us. The RSA 193 kind of was confusing, but I think essentially what they were asking was out of their town children that are in attendance at Bridgewater Hebron Village School, if they would be allowed to remain, and if we would work out any kind of tuition agreement there.
So pretty much a tailored option for kindergarten. Like kindergarten through 3rd grade.
Yeah, so
students?
like,
Okay.
yeah, if kiddos that are already, we'll say, embedded in that community would be allowed to remain in that community. So I think for me, my primary focus always will be what's in the best interest of the children. That's why I'm on the school board, is because I want to do what's best by my community's children. So for me, the tail out, it just makes sense. Why would we disrupt the children that have already been involved in a community for, you know, half of their educational career? That seemed kind of like a no-brainer to me. So that's my feeling on the first request.
Well, 1 and 2, instead of 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, and then
Okay.
there's more to the second one, though. There's not a
Right.
lot that we can actually make decisions on at this
Right.
point, because it feels a lot like, again, I bring up carts and horses, but here we are. Anybody have
And then
anything
the
else to add?
the third was about the superintendent services.
Oh, yes, that.
So, you know, I think we could discuss each one individually and decide kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. At, you know, at the
General
moment.
temperature of the board.
Yeah, take the temperature of everybody here and, you know, that gives us a direction.
Yeah, because there are subsequent phase 2 requests that we have not
Correct.
brought to the board that would require further discussion, I assume, depending upon the outcome of this discussion. But that's, again, stuff that we really can't make decisions on at this point. Tom, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, I have a lot to say. Just trying to think about the best order
So we'll start with,
focused on it. So I think that,
We'll start with the tail out.
so the tail, I mean, to me, just in principle, I think that we as a school board are gonna do the right thing by the kids, like Kim was just saying, so, you know what I mean? But we're not committing to anything, like, we're not, it's a cart before the horse in terms of like, oh, we're committing to this tail out plan. I mean, that's kind of a strange way to start a negotiation that is this large, in my opinion. And the devil's in the details, even on the tail out plan. You know, never mind the tuition plan. I mean, there's so much to those points. I think that if people vote yes in the 3 towns and this goes through, there's gonna be significant disruption to the kids, that's a fact, and that's just a fact. And I also feel like the numbers that are behind a lot of the decision-making around this in terms of taxes, it really isn't clear. Because if there's a vote that changes the funding formula, first of all, the question, it's if it happens, and then if anything happens with it. It just didn't happen very recently. So there's some fear mongering about that is going to happen, and then there's gonna be this tremendous increase in people's taxes. I think what is clear to me is that if you vote yes for this to happen, first of all, it'll disrupt the kids for sure. Never mind staffing and so forth, teachers, but there will be an increase in taxes. There's no way to run this district as its own with these 3 towns without putting more money in. So if you're voting yes, you're voting to disrupt the kids, and you're voting for a definitive tax increase in those 3 towns. If you vote no, it will be, you know, there won't be the disruption that would be caused for it, and we still don't know what exactly the increase in terms of taxes. Numbers are being thrown around. I don't know how much facts are behind those, but that's what we need to drill down and help people. To me, because I think it's about the kids in one case and the quality of education, and then unfortunately, a lot of it is being driven by finances. So, those are my thoughts on it.
Kind of going by what, along with Tom, is the past couple meetings, I feel like there's been a little bit of a switch and like handouts about what our taxes will go up to if the funding formula changes. But just quickly, a list of things that I, as a taxpayer and as a community member, don't have a ballpark range of what these increases would be. Sports and coaches, equipment, fields, uniforms, food services, busing, bargaining agreements, insurance and benefits, curriculum, technology, tuition, nurses, administration, para, specialists, furniture, utilities, out-of-district placements, special ed services, and bringing the building up to housing those kids. Regardless if you're only adding 1 wing or 2 wings or how that's still a substantial amount of money every year that district is responsible for. So I think it's only fair that if we're going to put, this is what your taxes will go up to if you vote no. If you vote yes, here's what your taxes will increase for all of these additions that you need to run a school. And run it up to code, run it up to legal specifications to meet all those checks and balances. Busing alone, it's not cheap. So even if you're decreasing the number of kids, you still have a base that you need to provide transportation to, and you can't have just one bus getting all those kids every day. And then it's busing for sporting events. And realistically, Mika spoke about jamming different kids with different buses and canceling events and
Right.
having to not go on sporting events because we don't have transportation. That's a realistic burden that we're looking at as well. So to be fair, you're saying here's what your taxes will go up if Article 5 or the funding formula changes, but what will my taxes go up in addition to what will be the impact on SAU for kids?
Do you think it would be a fair comparison if we were to try to, say, look at, past year's budgets for SAU 4 and try to come up with a number for those sorts of things, so that could be part of the comparison to taxes are going up, but then here's what it would go up if we're, paying for all of these as just the 3 towns. Do you think would it be accurate enough, or is that something that they would have to get quotes on their own?
From what I understood from the last steering committee meeting is that there are some maybe ballpark figures that they have received for food services and for busing. But I think that information needs to be publicly shared as well, so you can make an educated decision is, okay, this, because it is scary to think of how much your taxes could increase, but that's just one piece. You know, could my taxes go up with no disruption, or could my taxes go up with substantial disruption? And I think if we're gonna do for one, we need to do for both, so that we're not, that the information is transparent.
I agree with you. I'm just gonna say, give you my full support.
Dominic,
Well-
anything?
Yeah, I think transparency is really important through this whole thing, that's for sure. Just to make sure everybody's educated when it comes down to voting. We know what we're getting into.
As the school board, I think, like, what we all have said is, we are here for the students and what is in the best interest of the students, and that's our sole job, is to do what we think is in the best interest of the students. And that's what's really important, especially with the students in this district. And that's the only thing that we care about and we guarantee, I guess.
And I think our staff to go with that too, you know, our staff at BHBS, we want to make sure that, you know, that they get treated with the dignity and respect that they also deserve.
Agree with that also.
You agree with that too?
So there's been some conversation at the high school, talking about how, like, there were some numbers that came out where, like, here at our district, taxpayers, like, spend about, like, $12,000 per student, but in, like, surrounding districts, they're paying for, like, $17,000 to $22,000 per student. And
Not sure what
is that,
the cost is right now.
That was about 21
Yeah,
per
that's
student.
It's definitely more than 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's
that.
about 21 to 22,000 per student is what we pay.
Yeah, I don't know that we're significantly higher or lower than our surrounding districts. I think Franklin is low, but they only have one town, you know, one city that they're serving. So I think there are other communities where the cost to educate per pupil is a lot higher too, though, but they also have broader tax bases. So I don't know off the top of my head, though.
well, I feel like it might be kind of beneficial to, like, share these things with students, especially at the high school, because they want to know these things, and, like, we talk about these things, but we don't really, no one tells us, like, we don't, you know, and then also, like, what we can do to, you know, having to share a bus with a bunch of middle school boys to a game that, like, really matters to our season is frustrating, and so, I'm wondering if it'd be possible for you guys to share these, like, you know, numbers and then, like, explain what we could do to try and make a difference.
I think that's a great idea because as high schoolers,
Some of-
seniors in particular,
They're voters.
some are voters already, you're 18 years old, are you registered to vote, are you know, do you understand what you're voting for? And that, I think, is a great civic lesson in how you're, I mean, not to get all weird about it, but I love school board and town meeting, even though I lose sleep over all of these things, a lot of it, and I have so much stress. But it's democracy in its purest form. When everybody gets to raise their hand, everybody gets to vote, everybody's voice counts. So I think that that's a really great idea to really communicate with our younger people and let them know what's going on. But to reiterate what my other board members have said is, again, we're here for the kids, including our high schoolers. And as far as these questions go, these requests, it's hard to make any kind of formal agreement because there are financial implications to these decisions that we're making. And there are financial implications that we can't really quantify at this point in time. So I feel like, again, it's important to reiterate that we're here to do what's best for our kiddos, for the kiddos in our broader community, including Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton. So causing as little disruption to them as possible with the acknowledgement of the financial implications of minimizing disruption going forward should this pass in March.
Well, and it wouldn't be till May, because I believe that you
Oh,
have to
that's
wait till
right.
Hebron's.
So Hebron's meeting,
Okay.
potentially, if it passes, I mean,
Potentially.
if it fails one of them in March, that would be, that would, you know, nip it in the bud right there. But I guess I'm not sure how we should be approaching this, if we should be taking a vote saying, yes, we understand that the tailout is
I mean, there's points 1, 2, and 3, we can go forward, we can start at 1,
Discuss.
2, 3, discuss. Somebody wants to make a motion, we can accept the motion. If nobody does and it just dies on the floor, we can do whatever you guys want.
Or
See, we're a board that can do what we want. So first, does the board want to provide a tailout for students in existing schools and begin work on the provided contract template? Now, this was the 6 through 8 and the 9 through 12 one, correct? The second was for elementary school?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
Yeah, so that would be the kiddos that are already in middle and high school,
Middle
as
and
far
high
as I
school,
understand.
tail-out
That's the
option
tail end.
is the first one.
Of course, again, there would be, I hesitate to make any kind of motion at this point, because I feel like I can't, because I can't quantify what it would cost. I mean, it would have to be at a reasonable cost.
My gut says, well, of course, that would be something we would want to do, but I can't necessarily say 100% yes, because we don't know.
It hasn't happened
Again,
yet.
that we-
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
And we can't
there's a lot.
enter into anything legally binding until,
Yeah, but we could
Right.
definitely just state that it's our intent to allow kiddos that are already enrolled in grades 6 through 12, assuming it happens. It's our intent to allow them to
Right.
finish out it
Okay.
with the acknowledgement of those financial implications, because it will impact our
So you
taxpayers,
could s-
those taxpayers, but
Pending
we
a
can't.
financial agreement,
It would be pending negotiation.
pending
If
negotiation,
it all passes in March, but again, it's,
pending it
we
passing.
don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I guess that would be
I
the
guess that's
same.
not a motion, it's just an acknowledgement
number two, then.
that it's in the, I think that that's in the best interest of our kiddos. To allow that.
So is it a motion to, sorry.
No,
I'm
I was just
confused.
No.
stating, I was
No,
just
there's
making
no
a
motion,
statement,
right?
I'm not making a motion,
Okay.
I'm making a
No
statement.
Sorry, I'm trying to like,
I know, and
I'm
I'm
trying
trying
to,
not to
like-
say anything.
I know, and that's why I'm just trying to make sure I'm very clear.
No, I'm just making a statement.
Okay.
Mhm. How do people feel about number 3, the superintendent
Superintendent
services? Do you think that's something that we would entertain, again, pending, if that was to go there? There's a lot of numbers there that we wouldn't necessarily know either.
A lot of numbers here we don't know, and frankly, I don't know that we have the capacity to provide the number of services that have been requested.
Or the space.
Space is a
Space,
limited,
the
is
capacity.
a problem.
The staff,
Staffing.
I don't see that as something that we are feasibly equipped to handle.
Everything would have to be separated since it was 2 different school districts, correct?
Right, which is
Yeah.
possible
Right.
with more people.
But it would
there's a
mean that we would
cost.
have to hire more people to do the same job that we currently do, which isn't really in our benefit as a school board to do, unless we got compensated well over the top. I would make the motion that we do not consider this, consider superintendent services.
Yeah,
Second.
second that. Any further discussion?
Okay.
See, let's be honest, I mean, they're in
I-
cubicles as it is
I've
in
been
that
in there
SAU
enough
office, and
times to know that
we've been in the SAU office,
It
there's
would throw a
no,
wrench in the gears.
I mean, there's no, they can bunk with you guys, Nancy and Jeanette.
Yeah.
There's not, I mean, there needs to be some sort of space to have confidential meetings, there's finances and things, there's
Exactly.
HR, there needs to be locations and spaces, and I think if we added even 2 more people to that office, it's just not a
And-
feasible.
and that would be a cost to the district and to those
Right.
taxpayers, those other 4 town taxpayers, to bring in additional resources.
And if they want to do that, they can pay for the extra fee.
All right, with the motion on the floor, anybody else have any further discussion?
How was the motion worded, to not support?
To not support.
Number 3, which is the continued discussion on providing superintendent services. Anybody else have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Does anybody have anything else on phase 1 request from the steering committee? Any other discussion?
Do you have anything?
So basically, we're saying that we're willing to work and have a tail out, but we're not necessarily voting on it because of the details.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Just to be clear.
There's not enough concrete?
Because there's a financial implication there. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that we technically can't commit to anything right now
Anyway, at this
anyway.
point, so
So
could
kind
we put to
of,
vote that we were willing to do a tailor for the existing students without,
we can say in good faith,
in good faith?
absolutely in good faith, that we will do what's best, in the best interest of those kids.
And I think that's what, personally, that's why I think the majority of us are sitting here on this board, is to do what's best.
But
For
without
Newfound
details
and
and
our
facts,
districts.
why would we vote on it? You know what I mean? I think our intent is clear, do the best thing for the kids, but I don't feel comfortable to vote on something that doesn't have any, the devil's in the details. It's money, it's logistics, it's space. What if all the kids from Alexandria wanna go to, you know, not stay in that school, for example?
To come back.
They come back. Like, that's just one little example of many, correct? So like, I mean, I think all of us, I have faith in the board that like, we're gonna do the best thing for the kids if in fact this were to happen. But I don't have enough information yet to understand if I'm voting in support of it or not. It's, again, it's the cart way before the horse. This is a topic that I would think would be down the line after we've got much more foundational things agreed upon.
Actual costs.
Yeah, actual costs, actual plans.
Okay. Anybody else?
Fair enough. We can get back to them with that.
I think you guys have another meeting scheduled, I'm sure.
I don't believe so.
I don't
No.
think we do,
Okay.
actually. We'll have to plan one now that we brought it to the full board and have an idea.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, next, ATS grant.